let's get going. So, who wants to be first? Go on. No, you're not ready. Even though you got all the judges' names, addresses, social security I numbers, you're going to hold back.
We want to hold
Come on down. That'll be great.
Ask who wants to be last and make them go first.
That is cruel and unusual punishment, okay?
Last should be first and the first should be last. Someone said that.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, I'll hand over to you, so just give your pitch.
All right. Mine is easy. I mean, like, ours is easy, so that's why I wanted to get it finished.
And all I ask is that you speak up to make sure we can capture you on the audio, because that's the most important thing.
Okay.
Video is secondary, audio is primary.
Okay, that's right. Okay, ours is so much simple, actually. My name is Pankaj, this is Vinod, and we have other 3 team members which are not present at the moment. But what we were trying to build is a simple web app which is called Weightless. Basically what it does is, especially it was designed for like country like England, where they have a open they don't have a medical system the way we have it, so it's like paid by government, so you like people pay through their taxes, so people go to the clinic and they get treatment. It was getting overcrowded, so what they started doing is like walk-in clinics in the morning, like they started 8 a.m. to 12 or 1 p.m. And as people were getting more patients were going there, the wait time was getting longer and longer and longer. So basically, person can go like 10, 11 o'clock, and he might have to wait for like 3 hours. The time comes close, like for example, if he's living 10 minutes away from the clinic, 30 minutes left, send a notification, hey, time is getting close if you want to leave and go to the clinic. So that's what it was we were trying to use. Another thing, like when he goes to a doctor sees, and like they want to send a prescription, so the patient doesn't have to carry the prescription, you can send straight to the pharmacy, so you can save a time over there. That's where we were trying to use faxing. So that's the API we're trying to use, both of them. So basically it's like try to save time, and like same as usual, today we don't have a time enough, and like getting upset about like sitting in the waiting area for 3-4 hours. So this is what it was. We could not finish our whole project, so we don't have anything to demo, but our idea was that, so this is what we have.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
What software did you use?
Software, JavaScript. We were trying to use
Angular, JavaScript, and Aron Java. It's like J2EE.
Did you use any
Whose resources?
resources?
Who's developer? Who's sponsor resources?
Sponsor resources of
Happy
and
Fexio.
Fexio.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, guys. Okay, so who wants to be? Come on down, guys. So don't worry, just get yourself set up. Once you're comfortable, then start presenting, okay? Because by the magic of editing, this all looks cool in the end, okay?
Just as a reminder, Tom's going to be flashing you a signal, so just so you know.
1 minute, 30 seconds, then you'll hear the buzzer go off.
No, he didn't.
Then we get the hook up.
Yeah, I knew you guys. So maybe that's why I announced it.
So yeah, you can stand in the middle here because the live stream is sort of turn that round, flip that round.
All right.
That's it. So if you could stand, I know it's going to be a bit awkward. But standing in front of, that's it, between the table and the TV, it'll be easier. There you go. Perfect.
I'm okay here.
You're in. You're good. Oh no. Be over. That's it. Yeah.
Be careful of the
Unfortunately-
machine, though.
Yeah. Can I move this?
Sure, absolutely.
There you go.
You okay?
Yeah. Okay, that's looking good. Thanks, guys. Once you're ready, just go for it, okay?
All right, so our hack is called I Attended. So the main issue that we're kind of trying to tackle is that shopping can be very inconvenient and very, very time consuming. So sometimes you may say, okay, I'll just buy it online. But then sometimes, as you can see here, the expectation does not match the reality. And then there's other people who don't go shopping often, and when they do, they expect something to be of high quality. So you may want an attendant or some high service. And basically, there's others of us that just don't like people. So I would go on and talk to one. So this is kind of a walkthrough of the tools that we're going to be using, which is Amazon Developer. So basically, we use Alexa, and we customize her to basically fulfill whatever needs they require. So you'll build your skills, you'll be able to see different sections and departments, and you can take it away to the next slide.
Well, the video.
Oh, just the video, sorry. So the video basically is kind of like a demo of what we hope to implement in the future.
It's a changing room, right? All right. There you go. Yeah. We will.
So the attendant brings the t-shirt to the customer.
Hey Alexa,
Hello, Ikra.
this shirt is not my size. Can you bring me a medium?
Oh, I see. Alberto will bring you a medium size.
So yeah.
Well, first Telestax and Temasis, or we work with them. Our idea would be to complete that with these two companies. And well, what we use is Alexa Pi. It's an open source project, and we installed that on a Raspberry Pi. We just set up some skills in Amazon, and what we had two options. One was sending messages to the attendant for letting him know when to go to bring a t-shirt of a specific size or color or whatever the client needs. And the other option was using Temasis for adding the video call functionality for if they want to place a call from this Raspberry Pi to the attendant. So with using this, we will be able to reduce the amount of obviously attendants in a store, and also shopping racks. We would be faster attending the customers. So yeah, this is pretty much it.
Another thing we would like to add to this is just the shopping mall as a whole. We would have Amazon Web Services, and then using Amazon Developer, we will have a conversationalist bot, and then that will be in intersections of the mall where people can go to it and it can navigate where the shops are for them. So this will replace directories and maps across the malls, and then you can talk to it like talking to any other normal person, like where is the children's place, and then it will tell you where it is, and you can just go there.
And that concludes our presentation of our project. Thank you.
Any questions? None from the sponsors? Not even a thank you for the branding there? I'm going to enjoy showing this to Chip. Okay, that was great. Again, well done. Okay, so who wants to be next? Go for it. And yeah, just between the TV and the table in terms of positioning so we can see it.
How much are they paying you to wear that Franklin shirt? for that, you know, product placement in a
Not
worldwide
paying me
Tadhack
anything.
thing. What?
It was definitely worth it.
What's Franklin?
Barbecue in Austin.
Well, it just burned down.
Really? One of them, okay.
There only is one.
He refuses to make a second one.
What did you really smoking that meat?
5 alarm fire.
So he has a lot of burnt ends?
And then he burned down.
Because he had his own barbecue shop on PBS and everything like that.
You got the right dongle?
It's hard to pull.
No, I don't actually. Not sure what the deal is, but
What do you need?
I don't know how to smoke it, but like the place.
that one's not.
Display port to VGA or something?
Oh, just hang a sec. You've got lightning there?
Oh, it was up to them.
That works.
There you go. We'll get you there. Don't worry.
VGA.
As I said, we'll edit it so it looks like you just. There you go.
All right, cool.
Let there be video.
You got it?
My name is Jim Morgan. I'm the only person on my team. What I've created is called Helper. And Helper is had a couple of it's meant to supplement a Red Cross type organization in terms of during a natural disaster, where services may or may not be existent or tough to come by. So essentially, it uses SMS. It's using the API Phonica SMS thing with a machine learning capability to this. So during a natural disaster, you probably may not have a great sense of what's going on, so you might be mistyping things of that nature. It hits something called API.ai, which is a machine learning natural language capability of this. So you can type in a bunch of things, it goes through the normalization of API.ai, and then we'll send information back to the other SMS, the helper, the person who's going to be giving help. Because of the nature of the API, I had to kind of create a web interface that emulates an SMS conversation. But so we type in help me, and what ends up happening is that it goes through SMS messages created and sent. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the API right now, you can't get it, so I fake it. But it will pinpoint where you are, and this is the JSON response coming back from API to AI. So it just says help me, which is kind of a generic, call for help. So in the natural language processing, I actually kind of parse out what's going on, and our response is what is the nature of your problem. It is meant to facilitate a conversation so that the people providing help, that will be providing help, will have all the information that they need. Because of the nature of this browser, I can grab the GPS information. If this was on our phone, I can grab it there. But if it's like I need help, the next question might be like, where are you located? It might also be like, what's the nature of the problem? And this is meant to kind of prioritize response efforts. If you're hungry, that's one thing. If your house is on fire, it's another thing. So it prioritizes. It's meant to prioritize response efforts. So higher things get better. And the reason why those maps are there is that it will optimize a route for providing the widest possible net.
Cool. Cool. Excellent. Any questions for Dan? If not, judges over there, you good?
I'm good, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Dan. That was great. Nice and clear. Thanks a lot. Okay, who wants to be next? We're racing through these. This is great. Come on, guys. Don't be shy. Do you want to go? Come on down, guys.
Oh, we have 5 minutes before I leave.
Yeah, 5 minutes, yes. As soon as you start talking, I'll begin. But you get ready first.
Yeah, just get yourself set up. And you have to be on the, yeah. It's a little difficult, but you want to be, because you're out of camera shot, unfortunately, so if you huddle in the middle here rather than over there, it helps us. We just take this back maybe a bit more.
This will be 1 minute and this will be 30 seconds left. And the audio will be.
Before we start, if you guys can all have your phones, so that'll be fine. Not started yet. Can you set it up?
Yeah.
When you're ready.
I'm not getting the display.
Okay, just hang on a sec. We're just trying to get you physically in. Robert, it's on.
You probably just have to hit return though.
You connected, yeah? Well, I can tell you what your problem is. It's a PC. You can see the PC biggest, man. 5 minutes for boot up time is perfectly acceptable.
No driving the monitor.
No.
We have a Mac too. Can we
Yeah,
go next
so-
and we just transfer to the Mac and
Yeah, you do that. Yeah, no worries.
No, I don't have HDMI.
I know, but you will have.
You got VGA.
No, I just have a USB-C.
Oh.
It's
Okay, no worries. I mean, just try again.
okay. Okay.
Or if you
'Cause
could
there's like
use
a
somebody else's
command-
laptop, that's
Yeah,
fine
we'll
as
just get
well.
somebody else's laptop.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's,
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
Give it, oh no, just give it another go. Give it another go. You're rushing. Just relax.
we're a lot higher, I think.
I know. Now, is there a key here?
Yeah, function F5.
What do you need?
Step 5, function F5. It's there, F7. Function F7.
Yeah, one of them.
To drive it. But the old beast, you gotta drive it.
Yep.
It's not auto detect.
Press the non-function key.
There you go.
It's not detected as a display.
It's not. Okay.
Function F5.
We'll just get.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So,
If you could
No
have
problem.
somebody's email ID and their laptop, that'd be great.
Yeah, someone.
Or
so do we have another willing volunteer? Come on, guys. It's your turn now. Come on down.
Cable?
okay. Oh, email it to yourself.
What did you need? Is it cable?
Oh yeah, we need a HDMI.
VGA?
Yeah, no, HDMI.
So we kind of got a lot to
HDMI?
go through on the computer. Is it okay if we drag this cable kind of in front of where we're going to sit?
Absolutely.
Is this your computer? Here, can you plug in?
There you go. Grab that.
You have the right dongle now?
No, this is not that. No, somebody else. Okay. Here you go.
Try this. Let's see if this works.
Put it in the wrong.
That'll get you.
How do I get it to? It's not showing up the.
Right now? You're mirroring, don't mirror. Do this, and then type in display. Display, yeah, there we go. And then do don't mirror.
About this Mac or displays? Displays.
Ranger, don't mirror.
Or Carol and I are working.
And then when you do it, it should.
Quit saying those letters to me. I don't know the alphabet.
Display.
There we go. Cool.
So we're ready if y'all are ready. Okay.
Yeah, speak up.
All right. Hello, everybody. We're Virgil. We are a smarter emergency management platform for decision-making support using machine learning and real-time communication. I'm Alex Cordover.
I'm Alberto Rios.
So the motivation for our project is that you've heard it in the news. There's currently poor emergency decision-making due to lack of information on the ground and what we call the human element. So we propose a two-faceted solution. First, get decision makers the information that they need to make good decisions. And second, use mathematics to optimize scarce resource allocation. We hacked on three sponsor technologies, Telestacks, Telnix, and Fax.io. We'll go through kind of their contributions to each of the, to our project. Other core technologies, we built out a custom API to support each of the three sponsor technologies, and this is a Docker Compose based deployment, so it's immediately scalable. You can kind of see our Telestack sequencing here, but at a very high level overview, volunteers and managers sign up for the service. On-the-ground information gets transmitted into the system. We compute scores for each region and allocation, use simulated annealing to optimize the resource distribution, and finally redistribute that information back to the people who need it. A quick overview on the allocation optimization. We kind of came up with our own cost function and our own, machine learning approach. So cost function is defined in terms of proposed allocation, social vulnerability information from the CDC, live on-the-ground information, and disbursement cost. We want to keep resources close to vulnerable areas. So let's go through a demonstration. That is not on the screen. So we will do this. So you can see the platform right here. You can see that we currently have computed the optimal resource allocation for a variety of different places. That's shown in our heat map right here. Now, at the very beginning, we asked quite a few of y'all to submit your information. You can see all of you have populated into our database right here. Now, what happens, now we're in the middle of a disaster, what happens if you're on the ground? We're going to submit an assessment. You can submit an assessment in three ways. First, you can do it through the web. Second, you can submit it through Telestacks, through messaging, and third, through call. Both of those are supported by Telestacks. Now, as he goes through the process of,
Yeah, I just sent that latest text right now.
this latest text right here is from him, Alberto Rios. You can see the timestamp right here. And then as he goes through the process of calling, this will update again. You'll see another assessment. Just 1 second.
So this name field actually uses Telnex caller ID API. So that's how we can get people's information.
Right.
Not everyone has caller ID enabled, but I obviously do.
So you can see voice and SMS have populated. That gives us more information with which to optimize our resource allocation. So now that we've submitted an assessment, we are currently running a cron job to kind of optimize this on the fly. So one of the good things about simulated annealing is that it'll optimize on the fly. We get continuous updates of resource allocations. And so as more people give us more information, we can be more sure about what the best place to put the resources put the resources are. So now let's say that we've just had at some point in this, since it's running on a 2-minute cycle, we have updated these resource allocations. We're going to send out a blast through email, fax, phone, and text. Fax particularly because we're working with governments, and we all know what governments are like. So we're going to send out a blast, and
So now all of our judges and people that we ask for information should be getting stuff right now.
Yep. And so while that happens, you should all be checking your phones. He's
Got a
getting a
phone
call. We can just
Now
kind of
get 'em. That's an email right there. That's a text right there.
Yep.
And we do send out faxes as well. So if we look at the Faxio, dashboard.
And everybody is getting their calls and emails right now. So if we look at the Faxio dashboard really quick, we can see that the number has gone from 14 to 24 faxes. We've sent out faxes to everybody who was populated in the system. Some things we might want to do in the future. We've looked at, last night we kind of looked at neural networks for damage assessment. That was something a little bit beyond the scope, but ideally we'd be able to video some video damage, upload it, and then use that as information to further remove the human element. So that's Virgil.
Excellent.
Well done.
All right.
Thank you. questions, comments, concerns?
Where do you see this, being, would this be something like a crowdsource type thing, or open, where you have it on the internet where everybody can go?
Right, so we were playing around with that idea kind of in our heads. On the one hand, we want to keep the information as high quality as possible, so maybe limit it specifically to emergency managers. But on the other hand, crowdsourced information is so valuable at this point, I feel like that could also be useful with the right registration and
I
ballot.
got my boat and it's right here,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Right. The one thing we were worried about is everybody's going to see their situation as kind of worse than somebody else's, and so the more trained a response is, which is why we were interested in using neural networks for direct damage assessment, remove the human element further, but we just want to make sure we're getting high quality information to do the optimizations.
Yeah, my house is flooding, it's different, you have 3 inches or feet, right?
Right.
Because-
Any other questions?
Yeah, if you were to continue with this, have you guys thought through how you might approach filtering the alerts in order to develop the people and
Right, so-
reducing spamming and also
Right, obviously,
blah, blah, blah.
not everybody has a fax, not everybody wants emails, so in the registration, you should be able to choose how you receive your alerts and go back and,
Oh, sure, sorry, but
Right.
I mean even in terms of, for example, that, volunteers are broken up into teams
oh,
and,
right, I understand what you're
these
saying.
bring
So,
in,
yep, ideally, we would want to use geolocation information to send targeted updates to people who are on the ground in that area. That's actually why we asked people to put in their zip code. In a future iteration of this, we would ask people, or we would only target people who are near an optimization change to move, or to that a resource allocation improvement had been calculated. So we do very much support that. The other thing that we support is this is already nationwide. We have all the data from all over the nation. We just used Alabama and Mississippi for demonstration purposes, but this is equally applicable everywhere a disaster may strike.
Sorry, I was
Yes, sir.
filming and doing 6 things at once. What's the time frame on the real-time communication as far as lag or anything for?
So you saw the fields populate as soon as he made the call in the text. You saw people get the update almost as soon as we hit the update field. The only thing that takes a little bit longer is the actual simulated annealing process, but as long as that's on a central server, which it is, it's behind a custom API right now. As long as that's in a central server, it won't take more than a couple of seconds, and then that allocation gets distributed to the people or the information about the allocation gets distributed to the people who need it, who need to make decisions, etc.
Thank you.
Perfect, excellent, thanks so much, guys.
Cool.
Come on down then. Are you guys sorted now, so you'll be ready?
Yeah,
Okay, so you go on next, okay?
Hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. A bunch of awesome projects coming up. I hope you guys think ours is awesome as well. The name of our project is Inform Me. My team members are here. We have some more team members that are sitting down in the back. I'm just going to go straight into it. So the next slide. So what the project we are doing is a way of communicating with people that are near you. So something is going on nearby, you want to get the message out to as many people as you can that are near you that you may not possibly know. So it's based on some GPS calculations, based on where you at, and some other things that I'm not going to get into detail now. I'll save all the fun stuff for later. So I did my partner to take over.
Okay, so how does it work? So we're trying to communicate here through a range. So in this way, we can communicate the text through creating a message. Then we specify the range that we want. If we want just the neighborhood, we want a bigger like the bigger part of the neighborhood to know. And we select a category. And then we are able to inform the things that we want. For example, we have the categories like emergency, suspicion, social, and advertisement. Now, what is emergency? For example, if something really bad happens and you need to communicate that to everybody, then you use the emergency situation. In that case, most of the people which are able to receive the categories, for example, if you want to receive the emergency categories, then people will be able to know that you're in an emergency, receive the message, and be able to help or call whoever is necessary. The suspicion, for example, you see someone that is trying to get into a car, and then but you don't know if the person's that's the person's car, right? So what you do is that you throw a suspicion. So therefore, everybody gets the message. The neighbors are able to know if that person is from the car or not, and they're able to react to see if that person should be in that car or not. And social, for example, you want to get into a gathering, but you're not able to get all the messages out, and you want to do it as soon as possible. Then, for example, for a barbecue, if you want to get everybody in the neighborhood around, then you send a social event. And for advertisement, for example, you are in a very small Kmart that you created for yourself, you work real hard on, and then for example, you want people that are around to know that you have specials, that you are better than other places. So then you pass around, and you're able, in that area, in that range, you're able to send the special message. These are advertisements which you can also opt out of. So if you don't want to be spammed by every single market, you can get out of it. So, go ahead.
So, who is this for? Well, this is for everyone. It's for the young, the old, the adults. If you're a young person and you want to go play soccer, you want to play basketball, and you don't want to go by yourself, or you don't want to make a whole Facebook event just to go play basketball, take out your phone. Go and go play basketball at the park. Everybody with a cell phone, they can get text message, get the message. You want to have a barbecue, you only want your neighborhood to come, you don't care about anyone else. Send a message out to the people that are nearby. Hey guys, I'm having a barbecue. Come help me out. If something happened to you and you need somebody to come change your light bulb, or you failed and you need somebody to help you up, you can hit the button. Hey, can someone come help me? So this app is for everyone.
And how big is it? So for example, this is for all businesses too. For the small business, you can notify what makes you special. For the medium business, you can notify what are your specials. And for the big business, you can create market events. These events can be notified for everybody.
All right, so we talked about this a lot. How about we give you guys a nice demonstration of how the app would work and look. So first thing is that you want to log in. You want to log in with your email address. So add something, and I put in my password and I sign in. Now suppose I want to play League of Legends. I type in let's play League of Legends. And since this is a social event, I would hit social. And then everyone around will get that text message. So we all should be getting messages pretty soon. But while we wait on that, for the sake of time, oh, and there goes my text message. So for the sake of time, we would end our presentation here. Is there any questions?
Thank you.
Question, okay?
Yeah.
You're saying, okay, you're gonna get people, on your block to sign up for this, right? I mean, that's what you really want to do, then you're gonna invite merchants and everything like that, but it's a community, but, is it, how do you make the geo boundaries around the community that you wanna use it all this?
So what happens is, it's not more of a, we hope that it'll be used in community, but it's still based on some type of GPS. So the app has your latitude and longitude. That gets sent to a database. Once it goes to the database, the server picks up, oh, a new record came in. Right? Based on other users that are around that location, based off the radius that you preset, those people will get the message. So assuming you are doing events where you live at, then your community will be the one that you frequently talk to.
Thank you.
I heard, I saw
I
another.
didn't catch what sponsor resources you used here.
Oh, that's,
There's the next
that's
slide.
the last slide. It's-
Oops.
Here,
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Make sure, because people are watching video, live either whatever, to repeat a question if somebody asks, because nobody can hear probably from the back. Different areas. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay.
When you're ready.
Okay, we're ready. Good afternoon. Our project is called the ARMA by the guys in the shorts. So what are we addressing? You know, we're a disaster relief system, supply chain optimization problem. So I personally seen the wrath of two of these natural calamities. I'm from India, so in 2004 I was in Chennai when the tsunami happened, and we could feel the like the aftershock of the Gujarat earthquake. So we've been there, so we know what like the panic which sets in and stuff. So we wanted to build something which addresses the disasters, and we wanted to focus on like food distribution. We took our inspiration from the Netherlands food bank problem, and we built our problem we built our solution taking into those guidelines. So how did we do this? So we took an example of Florida. We created a simulated data set. We scraped all the possible public schools of Florida, and we set them as distribution centers because they're big and they're well equipped. And we created a safety stock optimization / load balancing system. And the parameters we chose, we created some of the parameters to simulate the most real situation as possible. We chose like the population distribution in counties. Then we clustered each population distribution into like a bigger chain. Like we had smaller nodes connected to distribution centers, and we clustered them by distance. And we had like days to food exhaustion. We set like a amount of food is like 1 unit of food. What we set was like as 3 meals for a particular person in a day. And then we looked at the storage capability of these centers. You know, like bigger school have bigger storages, smaller school have smaller storages. And we actually hand wrote and we formed our own variable called the priority score, where we had to assign food to in the distribution centers. And we wanted to keep this simple as simple and stupid as possible. So how our framework worked, and we accepted the challenge. And how our framework worked was, we used a really simple, we used telestacks to send messages about the area and the number of people in your household. And we used the optimization, predictive analytics, and load balancing to distribute our resources in between our clusters, which will be going into deeply like next. And we use Faxio to actually send out instructions to distribution centers on what resources to allocate where.
Just so that you guys understand it, Telestacks is what we're using to get the input data sets when this thing actually goes live. We can use that to actually get the real-time data to understand the real-time demand on a daily basis. People would just have to say the number of people in their household, and it would go into our backend, it would get into our database. But for today, we couldn't get that many data sets in one day.
So we had to stimulate that.
Simulate data, but we have the infrastructure for Telestacks ready.
Yeah. So what we did was, after 8 cups of coffee, we ended up building this program. So the aspect ratio is a little bad. So what you can see here, this is the input data which goes in.
Every time you guys send a
So,
text
you can send a text message right now to the number we'll provide as soon as the presentation is over, and you can you have to send. I am from area code like area, the set area, and my household number of people in my household, and it will give instructions at the end of the day to the distribution centers. Please allot this much quantities of food from this particular center to this particular center, and
just to explain what we are addressing, next slide. This particular graph is supposed to be the heat maps of how bad there's scarcity in food.
each food.
So this is before we process the data, and as you can see, there are a few red points which show that there is the exhaustions. It might happen in the next few days. So that we are trying to say, before we processed our load, the data was looking bad, and there are a few distribution centers which might run into the risk of having
running
no
out of
at
food
all soon.
before.
And we used optimization, and we used our own algorithm to make sure the load is distributed even. And can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So what happens is, the instructions are sent to the distribution managers, who will say, distribute food from this center to this center to make it even more balanced. And now we represent the same heat map with the updated load, and you can see the color red.
Days of exhaustion has increased here. They have more time, and the priority score also decreases.
Yeah.
And moving on to scope, so we wanted to use the telestacks back to send out mass messages to people about where to go find food. We actually wanted to optimize even the quantity of food being sent. Now we're sending in regular chunks, saying it was 1 for each. But if you could optimize it to the extent of how many boxes you could send, it would be better. And forecasted. We also implemented the failsafe with Faxios. And the data set itself. Here's what's a challenge, because we don't have the data sets for these kind of situations. We had to manufacture ourselves, and a real data set would give us better results. And we also wanted to include one thing we we didn't include because of the time frame in this particular challenge was transportation costs, and is it possible to transport. So we want to implement that in our next system. Thank you.
Great. In closing, there's an email sent out to info@tadhack.com.
Yeah,
if you guys
so
want to take a look at the report.
We have sent an email out, like the program executed, and it sent distribution instructions to the email at Tadhack, and you can text one number we can hand out, and it'll keep updating. Okay.
Cool.
Thank
Any questions, guys?
Your data set itself, you said you're going to use elementary schools?
No, not elementary schools. So we collected the data of all the schools possible in Miami, and depending on the size of the schools, we also set up that the storage spaces also differs in the same way. If the school size is around, it can hold 1,000 people, we say the storage of the school, total storage capacity of the school is much higher. So we had to make that assumption.
Cool. Thank you.
That was great. Thanks, guys. So I think it's just 3 more to go. So over to AI Collab next. I think that's a nice one with facts in an emergency situation where you've just got your benefit email. You just need a box list. What's a nice example?
Hi everyone, I'm Abhishek.
Oh, Carol.
Are you guys ready? Yeah. Hi, I'm Abhishek. So I made a platform for doctors to collaborate, and it is basically a surgery planning platform. These are my sponsors, the products that I've used. So why I'm doing it? So if you see, for us developers, we have GitHub, but for doctors, there's no GitHub. They cannot send codes, they cannot send MRIs, they cannot talk to other guys. Okay, how did you crack such a difficult surgery? So that's the basic goal. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a GitHub for doctors. And why I'm doing it? So let's say there's a surgery of 8 hours. It requires, actually I've mentioned the research paper as well, 16 hours of planning, which means like bunch of doctors need to sit down on a table and need to talk how to go about the surgery. So I'm giving an online platform to talk them remotely from anywhere, any part of the world. What it helps is, it helps the time optimization and reduce the waiting time of the surgeries. Secondly, it helps global and local collaboration. So let's say there's a doctor sitting in India, Europe, US, they can come together and they can share the experience about removing a tumor. What should be the path to cut the tumor? And so on. And since right now there's so many CRMs which are in healthcare industry, there's no one which talks to different CRMs, as well as they allow doctors to talk or have a video discussion. So this is it. The business model, so first of all, there's no one in the communication of doctors around the world. Secondly, medical is an $18 trillion industry in the US, so it's a catchy thing to focus on. So if all the ACOs try to like get this product on their systems, it'll like huge bunch of money. Second is, I'm using some deep learning and machine learning techniques to reduce the waiting time. How I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to club the surgeries. So let's say there's a patient A with cancer of some type is having a similarity with some other cancer of some other guy in India. Oh, they can say, we can use the similar procedures, or we can use some similar ideas of surgery. Secondly, more surgeries means more patients means more revenue. And finally, it's like socially we are improving something. We are improving healthcare. So this is the basic architecture. I've shown like Salesforce and Salesforce soft. These are like CRMs I'm trying to identify. And there's MongoDB database of different hospitals. MongoDB basically is a different kind, like different hospitals can have different style of data structures. So I can like have a NoSQL database. Then there is AlloCap that my engine will be, which is powered by these sponsors, and I'm having a deep learning engine to identify, like group the cancer cases around the world, or any surgeries, let's say. And then there are people, doctors across India, US, collaborating on the same engine. So it's the demo time, and like I set up some guys as a surgeon, Alan, Sachin, Alex is there, and another guy there. So I log in as Alan. He's a neurosurgeon. So, okay, so he's a neurosurgeon, and like he's having a surgery of some guy, and there's a cancer in it. It is having a similarity with these two cases, and let's say there's a doctor sitting there. Okay, someone like being creative here. Okay, so I'll join a call where Sachin is talking to Alex, and I forgot the name of the guy, sorry man.
Josh. 1 minute.
Josh. So these guys are online and they're talking about the surgery, and these are the 4 guys. They're talking live. Now I request Sachin to add something on the screen. So he's saying, okay, why don't you cut the tumor like this? And Alex will say, and Josh will say like this. So they can say, okay, they can mess the surgery. So what I was trying to do, which I was not able to achieve, is I want to have an accelerator, and then it could be more informative. Later on, you can add a virtual reality here, where you could imagine a brain moving around in a 3D space, and oh, let's cut it like this, or let's cut it like this. So this could be an interface for doctors to, like a whiteboard for doctors, you could say. Mm-hmm. And so,
from our drawings, we're not doctors.
So, secondly, like you can, oh, I missed something. Like, so here's the share button that I'm like trying to get. Okay, this was the surgery performed some guy in India. So I can fax the details of the patient in US to that guy. And
That's it.
That's it. Okay, and I've sent the messages to these guys to come to the meeting, like using Tadhack, and yeah, these are my sponsors. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that was great. Excellent. Well done. Good demo.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Dr. Allen, any questions?
I just told John I'm not operating. It's inoperable. It's just been there too long. Okay. No, we have 2 more. Here, they're going down, guys.
But it's a registry because it was done online.
And again, don't worry, just get yourself set up, make sure everything's working, and then start. So let us know when you're about to start.
Okay. All right, guys. My name is Pratik. This is my partner Yanni and Lucas. And today our sponsor that we're using is Tadhack. And so we just want to go through kind of the problem we tackled yesterday. We spent a lot of time trying to think about the problem, probably around half the day on the problem. And what we came up with is that we figured out that small businesses around Chicago are spending over $70 per month for at least one inbound line, and they require additional telephony hardware, such as VoIP phones and stuff like that. And we think that small businesses want to cut costs. They don't have extra revenue to spend on telephony hardware and a lot of these other costs. So we want to make it as simple as downloading an app. We all know that it's easy to download an app. And we also think that the barrier to start a new business is difficult with all these extra costs. So that's the problem we wanted to tackle. And so we came up with Project Sapphire Network. This name is from a random generator online, but it happened to work with our project. Powered by Tadhack. And so we looked at Tadhack and we really liked their idea of making be your own carrier. And so we kind of tried to bring that to small businesses. And so what we want to do is allow small businesses to manage inbound and outbound numbers through a mobile application without any additional hardware, so they wouldn't have to buy any of those extra phones. So how do we do this? So we created an app. We tried to create an app called Project Sapphire Network. The owner/manager would sign up, log in. They have a list of numbers they can choose from, which would be assigned to their business particularly, and they're able to add employees to their network, and so their employees are able to get the phone calls that people dial into that, and so we want to use existing infrastructure. If almost everybody has cell phones, we feel like we can utilize that. We should be able to utilize their cell phones and still be able to give employees the work-life balance that they need. So by dialing into a toll-free number that belongs to a business, it rings all employees that need to be alerted of a phone call during that time. Their app starts to ring. And so Yanni's going to go over value proposition.
So why does this help us? As you can see, it uses dynamic routing, which means that if the employee is at work, the phone will ring. Otherwise, it will not. So it will not alert them during their off time, at middle of the night, stuff like that. We're using, as Pratik said, we're using existing cell phone infrastructure, so that completely cuts out extra hardware that the small business owner needs to buy to get started, and it increases the chances of actually someone picking up instead of going to voicemail or getting that annoying message that says, "Please call back later." Another thing that's we feel it's very important is it's scalable, as in you can buy numbers with literally a click of a button, and you'll get 1, 2, 3, 40, 50 numbers if you need them to. And it has redundancy by failover through the PSM.
Yeah, so if they were out of Wi-Fi service, if an employee was outside the Wi-Fi service, or they were outside the cellular service, and we tried to attempt to call the employee through the app, and we weren't able to reach them, we were able to use a PSTN and try to dial out to their regular cell phone.
And we actually talked to a few businesses across the street and in Chinatown. Yesterday we went and interviewed them, And the most shocking, I guess, was a Korean beauty store in Chinatown pays $160 for 2 lines, and they estimated around 2 hours of monthly usage of those lines. So if we can cut down costs on that, that'll be great. Another, across the street, a pizzeria called Miller's Pizza, they pay $90 for phone, internet, and TV. And another, most people use either AT&T or other carriers, but another thing that we found interesting was that they all use fax. So that's definitely something to look into.
Okay, that's it. Time's up.
That's it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot, guys. Any questions?
It
Yeah.
sounds as though that, so correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds as though that you're reducing costs by pushing that to your employees and using their data plan instead of the company.
Well, it's using the application that the small business owner has signed up for. So we'd be sending out using the internet instead of using any sort of plans. Wi-Fi, basically. That's kind of the idea. So I guess we're out of time. We can go. Some demos. Okay.
Did you have a demo of it? Did you make it?
Short demo. We didn't get very far, but
Yeah, quick, go on.
So yeah.
Because you're penultimate. Now, for Eclipse, you're going to do the presentation?
It's going to be real quick.
That's
So
great.
they probably have
Your last one being really quick.
So we get a simple UI for the app. Actually, this is a website now.
Right.
So we get all the informations like numbers, stuffs, and this is a list of numbers we bought. And we can add a 40 number in here and transfer the code. Now we got a login info. Yeah, it's just a simple that. Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Thanks so much, guys.
So I don't have a presentation trying to troubleshoot a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, turn around and speak to your crowd.
Oh, she's just setting up.
You haven't started yet.
yeah.
She's just setting up.
So what we tried to do was
Let me know when you're going to start.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting right now.
Okay.
What we were trying to do was to kind of create an alternative for Facebook, have a secure way for you to be able to connect with your friends and families and not be worried about your privacy. And the reason why I was attracted to it was the idea of cybersecurity and be able to secure that. But the more that we got into trying to tackle the project, the more we discovered that the minimal viable product was more minimal and less viable. So we kind of had to downgrade what we're doing, so it ended up getting down to just trying to do a messaging app and trying to secure it that way. But we ran into some problems. So what I'm going to demo is just going to be kind of I guess the interface part of it. We tried to use Matrix, and it was just trying to be able to communicate and figure out how to do that when the reps weren't here. It was a little bit difficult. So this is just a video of what we have presentation-wise, and that's just the user interface. And this is just a sign up. And he's just demonstrating bcrypt, which is one of the technologies that we use to kind of secure registration and logins for the users. And he's trying to demonstrate the hash passwords that we're using for that. And this is the page that we would normally have, where you could actually kind of message to each other once you get past the login. But that's invalid. Guess that was it. Questions? We had a lot of problems. If you want to know about problems, I can tell you about that.
Well, I think this is a great example of Matrix in enabling people to create private, secure communities. So I think it's a great use case for Matrix, so thanks for doing that. Any questions?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, if you could roll back the clock, what, you know, are there a couple takeaway points that you would do differently approaching this, and has
well,
it changed your, you know?
Yeah, couple of the problems that we had was I work on Linux. Everyone else was working on Mac, so it was just trying to figure out the technologies that we could kind of communicate together with. We also had a member who knew PHP, so he kind of created that part of the project, but he wasn't here, and so are my name is Tweet, and my other team members aren't here either. Mayuresh, Chantel, and Jasmine. So that was another part of trying to figure out how to do this when all the members are not present, to actually be able to communicate what's going on with the stuff.
So you use some sort of communication and video collab app. Like a real
We do a lot of stuff on GitHub. So
A video plugin for GitHub, got it.
that would be good. But yeah, it was definitely communicating. You have like different technologies where one person did PHP. I kind of knew JavaScript and Ruby and maybe a little Java, but I didn't know PHP enough to be able to figure out his code that he was sending to me. And then other team members knew bits and pieces of stuff. So trying to get that all to come together was interesting.
Well, it sounds like it was an experience.
It was an
I'm just
experience.
curious real quick, I didn't understand, were you trying to use your own cryptography, or was that what Matrix was being used for, or how were you?
The cryptography part was just like that didn't have anything to do with it. The main part was being able to use Matrix and being able to have a way to communicate and have that encrypted and not worry about like anybody listening in on it.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's it. I think all the pictures are done. Have we missed anyone? Good. That's always that embarrassment when we say, we're done! And somebody goes, wait! So what we're going to do now is the judges are going to head off. We're going to get the judging done, and then we'll come back, we'll announce the prizes. Remember, this is just for the local prizes. All the hacks you've done get entered into the global prize pot, and that will be announced on Monday of next week, because next weekend we have lots of other hackathons. So if you go to Twitter, you search Tadhack, you will see all the activity that's been taking place all around the world. But just quickly, guys, what you did here was impressive. I think it was some really great hacks with great commercial potential, and I hope you can take some of them out into the real world and either basically make a difference socially or perhaps build a business. Oh, and just in the UK, the word bog is a reference to the toilet. So when you say we're going to go drinking in the bog, I'm sorry.
It is kind of like that.
Okay, all right, but the bog here at the hub, which is where Herman Hall is, it's called the hub. So in the bog, you have to go downstairs, and you look like you're going somewhere like a cave, and you wind up in it's the student hangout. So it's a lot of fun, and there's a bar there, and there'll be pizza and so forth.
But every time Carol says bog, I think toilet. Anyway, moving on. Faxio, Howard, Josh, come on down and announce your winners.
Did you say you wanted us to have everybody stand up first? Or?
Yeah, announce them, have them go down, and we're going to take pictures with your winners.
Okay, all right, cool. Cool. So, we have two prizes. The runner-up
where a cash prize of $200 is Irma by these guys in shorts. And our grand,
We have to do photos. It's a Kodak moment.
Our grand prize winner for $800 is Virgil.
In here.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Let's sit stand together, come on.
Over there, yeah.
Look pretty.
Act like you're friends.
That's it. Just hang a sec. For some reason it's going close. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. And one more. And we are, my machine is playing up. As always, I apologize. We'll use somebody else's.
Hey, fireworks!
Yeah, you guys are welcome.
Thank you. That's it, great. Thanks so much, guys. Well, I got one. I don't know what was going on there. So, great. Thanks so much. Yeah, good.
Hi, so we're Tadhack. I think most of you know Mingus. So we had a grand prize for teams that used our product, our API. We decided in the end to split it up between the 3 teams that used it because we were impressed with all 3 performances. Are we supposed to have all 3 teams come up and
Yes,
announce it?
exactly. Yes, so announce them
Okay.
and the money they won, and then we'll do a big group hug, okay?
Gotcha. So the first, the $150 to Virgil. And then $350 to AI Collab. And then, putting $500 to Sapphire Network, which means we have a lot of expectations for them, you know. And for the people involved, if afterwards, if you have a minute or 2, we'd love to get some quick feedback from you guys about our API and whatnot.
Squeeze
when
up.
we're done.
Shift it that way a little bit. Perfect.
Good looking group.
That's it. Thanks so much, guys. You're done. Thanks again. Okay. And over to you, Karen.
Okay, so the Chicago Local Prize, we had a hard time figuring out, and we had to collaborate and talk in secret. So Irma, $300. Yay. AI Collab, $350. And Virgil, $350. Woo-hoo! Yep. Right. You got us? Okay.
Got it.
All right. Thank you very much. You really did. I need to talk to you. We did a lot of stuff.
Great. Well, again, thanks so much to everyone who came. Excellent hacks. Was really impressed. I know it's hard. There's a lot of frustration when your teams are there and disappear and having to pick up new skills in a matter of hours in putting these hacks together. But again, thanks so much for taking the time. Keep an eye open. Next weekend, we've got more hacks taking place all around the world. Then on Monday, the 2nd of October, we will be announcing the global winners. Okay? So all these hacks get entered into for the $11,000 global prize pot. And that gets announced on Monday the 2nd. So thanks again. Thanks to Carol, Tom, Warren, for all your help and support in making this happen. Again, thank you so much, guys. And for the winners, please see me before you leave. Otherwise, I'm going to be emailing you this evening to let me know whether or not you can make it for free drinks, free food for several days. How long does the event run? Monday, Tuesday?
Through noon on Thursday, so starting Monday morning through noon on Thursday.
So there you go, 3.5 days of free food and
And
great.
there's actually flyers up at the registration desk. So
For
you
more
can get-
details.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
get the link and you can go see everything about it. You can see all the speakers, you can see the program, you can see what days you wanna go there, you know, so it's all
Exactly.
there.
Perfect, excellent. If you've got any other questions, just see us before you head off. Otherwise, safe travels, and I hope to see you next year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I suppose.
You're all done? Anything else you need to say, or you're good?
Anybody who wants to stay and help us clean up is
Oh yes,
welcome.
if you got, the
Or if
opportunity.
you could just at least clean up after yourselves before you leave, that would really be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
We still want to.
Oh, okay.
See you now.
What size do you want? I have one size.
So,
Okay, let me.
you know if you're
I think there's.
Alright.
School, Carol, VR, and who's your pleasure was
Melanie. Hi, nice to see you. Great. Just finished up. Talked for about 2 or 3 hours, but everybody's dispersing. That's okay, I wasn't gonna give you a ton of time, a little bit.
They promised
Bunch of pies and money, to everybody's table, so. We had a nicer spot. That's how universities work.
Ah. Yeah, that part.